Still hiding behind masks, eldest? Isn't it time you cast them away?
Words, words. How little value we attach to them, and how much they truly mean. But I've grown tired of words and prophecies. I will no longer predict chaos and death.
Oh yes, the time has come! The time of fate and curses!
Hope it not fight back. Best kind of fight.
Tear them apart!
Good, you dare! Knock-knock used to light enemies on fire first.
Cannot hide from me.
Let us strike as one!
Be easier if you not fight back.
Nowhere to run.
Do not falter!
Bring it!
Come here, Bax. Knock-knock stab you.
I aim true.
Onwards!
Tear them apart!
Which knife to use?
I grant you death.
Stay behind me!
Ona Adayana.
They go down!
You don't seem to like my curses. Maybe I'll let my jokes better.
Who will prevail? Does it matter?
Knock-knock used to lighting enemies on fire first.
Cannot hide from me.
Aboran sentence.
Let us strike at once!
Be easier if you not fight back.
Bring it!
Nowhere to run.
Do not falter! Her!
Come here, Bass. Not gonna stab you.
Tear them apart!
I aim.
Which knife to use?
They go down!
I grant you death.
Magritium Turinos.
Stay behind me! Ah!
Cannot hide from me.
Aporane Sednes.
Let us strike as one! Bring it!
Nowhere to run.
Magritium Turinos.
Do not falter! Tear them apart!
I aim true.
The time for laughter has passed. It's the hour of hunting. Chaos.
To the dust you will go.
death.
Onwards! They go down!
Not used to lighting enemies on fire first. Oh.
Cannot hide from me.
Stay behind me!
Could be worse. And will be. Definitely will be.
Be easier if not fight back.
Slow down for a moment. Nowhere to run.
Let us strike as one!
Axi, Yas.
Bring it!
Come here, Bax. Not gonna stab you.
Could be worse. And will be. Or will be.
Do not falter! Tear them apart!
Which knife to use?
Walk down for a moment.
I'm good, you dead.
Onwards!
Ari, T, Gong.
Yeah.
They go down!
Not used to lighting enemies on fire first.
Cannot hide from me.
Stay behind me! Huh.
Enough!
time for masks is over. You risk challenging an eldest, and I accept the challenge. You will fight not a mere embodiment, but my true essence. This is my essence. I don't need magic or servile monsters to destroy you. Words are enough. Yes, words. I once told you, words spoken in the right time and place possess the power of the storm. The desire to help people whose grief touches you. I remember your answer. The world remembers it too. Your answer, your heart, your essence. Now, cursed king, I'm taking this part of your soul, as I took away Nerissa's ability to love. What you called your essence is yours no more. Let us continue. We both wear a crown. But what do you own? A meager patch of land, a few thousand souls? My dominion is chaos and magic, madness and deceit. Your power is nothing compared to mine. And that is why you are helpless before me. You will take my every blow as a divine punishment, as something imminent. I'm curious what you think of me, cursed king. Do you see me as a villain, or a simple joker? In truth, well, I'll never be able to conceive of the truth. Being an eldest means being one of the many strings that hold the world in place. Being an eldest means being such a vast and self-sufficient value that one's equals become strangers and one's inferiors are entirely insignificant. I am an eldest. Laughter. That's what I am. Being what I am, I will let you feel a modicum of my loneliness. I will take away your pillar of strength. Good. You can play with words. Let us see if you can withstand the heat of my fire.
What for Gorum?
Go!
Let us strike as one!
Be easier if you not fight back.
not falter! Ah!
Come here, Bats. Not gonna stab you. Huh. Huh.
Bring it! Tear them apart!
Feeling I don't remember sensing for dozens of millennia. But what's next? How will you end this story? Listen, I know the ending. Elegant and refined. The hero defeats a deity in battle. Impressive, it grants the victor power and immortality. The hero enters the chambers of the deity to become his champion and herald. Eternal, powerful, equally glorified both in the first world and in Valerian. His kingdom healed from its wounds and flourished under the rule of the immortal champion. A beautiful ending, isn't it? And this legend...
Trust the laughing lie. Don't do this. Not after everything you and I have endured because of him. I can give you immortality and power, though not as much as the Lantern Kings. Perhaps we won't...
How sad it is to hear you, Narissa. Thousands of years for nothing! And that is easy. I will return your kingdom to Valerian and strengthen its connection to the First World. In their homeland, the Fae can endlessly return to life. I will give to you the same gift. And so long as you remain an enclave of the First World, death within its borders will never threaten you. As for the prize, I'm not offering you the position of a servant. Believe it or not, I am lonely. Divine power and immortality are a heavy burden. To accept it means losing all your friends and companions. But you can find allies and reliable assistance. This is what I'm looking for. A herald and a general with whom I can share a turn. What do you think? I can let my misguided protege go wherever she likes. Knowing her, I'm doubtful she will become a...
I won't. I've come too far to go back. It might take me 1,000 years and thousands of deaths, but I will find a way to get back at you, eldest. Even if I suggest we do not kneel. We are both cursed, you and I. But so what? The curse can harm you only as much as affliction touches your kingdom. But now, with the eldest wounded and bleeding, his henchmen all slain.
And what role in all this shall I play, trespasser?
The role of the vanquished. I know you will hardly accept a defeat, eldest. You may try to attack us again, but we defeated you once. And we will do it again if we must. I'm ready to fight you forever if I have to.
So be it. This performance has run its course. It would be unwise to continue. Besides, I have no love of dying, returning to life. You were cursed by my will. By my will, you are now freed from the curse. May the shackles be broken, the fetters be loosened. What's been stolen will be returned. What's been divided will be made whole again. I say farewell, and release your kingdom to the material plane.
Now that the eldest and other spiteful beings wouldn't be bothering us, the king returned to his subjects and celebrated the victory and the end of the kingdom's miseries with great fanfare. Everything gradually returned to normal, including our exciting lives. Not always peaceful, but also not troubled by invasions from another world. And little by little, our heroes and the common folk, under the wise leadership of the king, the stolen lands became a true country. There was still much to be done, of course, and some of it will need to be finished by our heroes' descendants. But there are no longer cut purses on every corner, and the peasants aren't. The king firmly eliminated banditry in the stolen lands, to the delight of the long-suffering locals, and brought peace and law to the area. That peace didn't last long, however. The stolen lands are called the Land of Popular Rule, for in these lands, common people feel fully in control of their fates. Unfortunately, the total absence of authority allowed one of the richest regions in the kingdom to proclaim itself an independent republic. And just half a year after the war with the First World, Gault moved its troops to the southern border of the kingdom. Their attack was rebuffed. The enemy state's infantry could do little. No kingdom can function without its nobility, and the kingdom in the stolen lands is no exception. Landowners. The feud between Brevois North and South, which had been smoldering for ages, never sparked the fires of civil war. Through great effort, our king managed to bring both parties to the negotiating table. While Rostland didn't gain its independence, it did receive wide autonomy rights. Our relationships with both House Sertova and the Sword Lords are respectful. The Tiger Lords never fully recovered from the damage Armagh did to the tribe. Lacking a strong leader and torn by infighting, the barbarians' Pitax almost returned to its former state. A joyful city filled with beers of dubious quality and deals of questionable legality. The old trade houses lost the crown, but they retrieved the property Iravetti had taken from them. Soon, Pitax became almost like a second capital in the kingdom, a thriving city through which rivers of money from across the region ran. Unfortunately, we get much less of this money than we would like. Governor Liachenza turned out to be helpless against widespread embezzlement. Self-administration turned the Academy of the Arts into a strange place. The court sycophants were quickly ousted. It turned out they weren't welcome when there wasn't someone like Iravetti constantly ordering odes to themselves. In their place came a motley, unpredictable crowd. Eccentrics, fashionable authors of popular prints and cheap novels, charlatans, scribblers with delusions of grandeur, as many as 3 feuding experimental theaters, and even trolls and kobolds, 2 of the most savage native peoples living in the Gnarl Marches, were completely exterminated in the region. After enduring so many storms and troubles, Varnhold eventually turned into a real city. Daring settlers decided to conquer the vast, wild expanses of Dunsword, and despite all odds, they succeeded. The modest colony that almost vanished at the hands of an ancient lich turned everything around to become Agay, the Spriggan leader, learned a valuable lesson after surviving his meeting with the king and even regaining his tribe's home. Don't try to occupy seemingly empty settlements anymore. Instead, the Spriggans settled across Dunsword's wild borderlands and proclaimed it as their domain. Keeping the peace in a situation like that seems like... After the kobolds and mites disappeared, the empty caves beneath the old sycamore quickly became home to all kinds of disgusting critters. Giant centipedes being the most innocent, and Oleg's trading post continues to thrive, attracting even more travelers. Much to its owner's displeasure, a small town is springing up around it. Despite Oleg's grumbling, he and his wife are well regarded by everyone, and Svetlana was even elected town chief. Jod remained loyal to the king to the end of his days, healing the sick and generously sharing his austere wisdom with anyone who wished to hear it, and some who didn't. Having participated in Lamashtu's ritual, Olika gave birth to a strong and healthy baby. Sadly, the child grew into an unruly and violent adolescent. Having maimed a peer at just 10 years of age, the boy escaped to the Gnarl Marches, fleeing the rage of a mob that tore his mother to pieces instead. The lizard folk of the Longtail tribe returned to live on the shores of Candlemere, but they couldn't return to their ancient way of life. Living alongside people, the lizard folk adopted their behavior. The goblins who put so much effort into preserving the king's lands obviously felt that gave them the right to do whatever. Evindra was glad to see the Lantern King's plans turn to dust. She spent some time helping restore the kingdom after the calamity, then returned home to the First World. They say the rebellious spirit of her After the victory, the storyteller abandoned his affairs and began spending a lot of time alone in contemplation. He eventually bid farewell to the king and left his lands. But I suspect the inhabitants of Golarion haven't heard the last of this mysterious traveler, for his own story is hardly finished. Amiri remained a pariah to her native tribe, but she stayed close friends with Nylak, who ruled the Six Bears wisely and taught them to survive in the unfamiliar plains and cities. The restless barbarian would often travel for long stretches of time, but sooner or later she would always return to her old friends, bragging about new scars and recounting new feats, many of which Nylak immortalized in song. Valerie stayed to serve the king, and to this day she continues to be a muse to many people. Not just bards and admirers, but to warriors as well. Honest and resilient, Valerie is not just famous for her feats in battle, but also for her patience and kindness, which she says the king helped her. Harren became famous, respected by dwarves throughout our kingdom as well as our neighbors, even as far as the Five Kings Mountains. He's often been asked to help out or teach others, and he's never denied anyone, despite his grumbling. Some people even listen to his preaching. Lucky for us, there's a lot less howling about the end of the world now, and more wise words of moderation and humility. Not all of his disciples turned to Grotus, but everyone took away something useful from his teaching. Octavia didn't stay still for very long. Soon, she and Reg went to Numeria and started a huge slave rebellion there. They didn't manage to destroy the Technic League, but to this day, slaves speak their name. Rigangar left for Numeria with Octavia to start a slave rebellion. Over the journey, he really matured and learned to understand others, as well as how to control his anger. After he returned, he took a position in the king's court, being both formidable. Once the war was over, Tristan kept his promise to Sarenrae. In the middle of celebrating the king's victory, the priest suddenly disappeared in a flash of light, vanishing forever. I hope Sarenrae didn't take the Movonic Deva's memory, so her servant might still remember us and the stolen lands. Or if she did, I hope he was at least able to forget everything about the lands in which he endured so much suffering. Ekin spent a few years in the Stolen Lands, and in that time won glory as the most rugged monster hunter in all the River Kingdoms. The ranger exterminated even the most harmless of the monsters around the capital, then moved on to other lands and new victories. They say the ruthless avenger and slayer of wild monsters made it as far as Katapesh. That's where his trail went cold. I'm afraid Ekin may have become the prey of one of his targets. Jubilost returned to the life of a traveling explorer, frequently visiting his favorite kingdom. He said so himself. His famous work studying the First World all opened with a dedication to his longtime companion, the king. Another name was also mentioned, 2Z, my guide and inspiration. Admirers would ask Jubilost many times about this mystery lady, but he would only chuckle, hitch his knapsack on his shoulder, and return to storm the vast expanses of the First World once again. As for Knock Knock, apologies, I mean Jester Knock Knock, he continued to be a great source of entertainment for the kingdom, both in and out of the throne room, sometimes even on purpose. His antics in the kingdom had an additional effect. Aside from bringing joy and amusement to the citizens, it also softened the common view of goblins. They even became welcome in the streets of the city, for a time. While he may not have become the hero he envisioned, Knock Knock did find himself and his inner strengths thanks to the king. If you should ever find yourself in the kingdom, be sure to seek him out. He'll gladly... Despite all the woes that befell the country, our king remains a strong leader. Many noble houses... As for myself, the author of this book, Lindsay, who never chose a pretty nickname, I'm still here, inside my creation within the Capitol Library. I live just like I always dreamed, surrounded by